The Panos Skordi Encounter.
Hey, today we're here with 6 different students, and we're going to talk about questions students have when they start on an actuarial program. I'll tell you who the students are, and then they'll do a little brief intro into themselves. So we've got Quentin, Jada, Jeanette, Connor, Kieran, and Akan. And you guys want to start off, Quentin, do you want to start off by giving us a brief background into who you are?
Yeah, so I'm a senior here at UWM. I'm planning on graduating this spring, 2022. I have 2 exams passed, and I also run the mentorship program here at UWM.
Great. Who wants to go next? Jada?
Hi everyone. I'm Jada. I am currently a senior here at UWM, majoring in actuarial science and minoring in econ. So I currently have 2 exams passed, exam P and FM, and I'm planning to take IFM in November, so 1 month away. I am also the president for the Actuarial Club.
Jeanette, do you want to go next?
Hi, my name is Jeanette. I'm originally from Chicago. I'm a sophomore year student at UWM, and I'm planning on taking FM this semester.
Connor?
Hello, I'm Connor. I'm a senior here at UWM. I have 2 exams passed, FM and P. I'm planning on taking IFM this November, and I'm a board member of the Actuarial Club here at UWM.
Kieran?
Hi, I'm Kieran. I don't have any exams passed, but I'm planning on taking the FM exam in December with Jeanette.
Okay, and you're a freshman?
Yep.
Right. And Akan?
Hi, my name is Akan and I'm from Cyprus, and currently I'm junior at UWM, and I'm majoring in actuarial science and minoring in economics, and I haven't taken any exams yet.
So the reason we are here today is to actually talk about the sort of questions students do have. So we've got the 4 more senior students, Quentin, Jada, Jeanette, and Connor, and Kieran and Akan are coming through. And so they can ask questions, they can tell you about their experiences, because I see a lot of students and they're always asking me, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing? Should I be starting off with exam P, with exam FM? So let's kick off there. What would you guys advise students they should be doing? Starting off with professional exams, how early should they be starting off with them? And which one should they start off with?
I think that you should probably start with FM because it involves less calculus, and it just has a higher pass rate, so it's better to get that easier exam out of the way first.
Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
I agree with that, just because if you're coming into college and maybe you have more math classes to take, perhaps you can't take calculus until a later year, you can get FM out of the way without having to wait for you to take the calculus courses to then take exam P. You can get the first exam out of the way faster.
And how early in your college career would you recommend taking that exam?
I would say at least studying for it by your sophomore year, and then trying to take it in your sophomore year, so you can try and get an internship going into your junior year, or going to the career fairs your junior year with an exam passed.
Okay, and so so Quentin's saying that it's maybe a good idea to actually study for it yourself using one of the coaching actuaries or the infinite actuary, or one of those bodies that gives you material before even taking it at school. Does everyone agree with that? I mean, it's personal choice, but do you guys all agree with that way? I mean, that's the way that I probably would do it too, but that's not the only way.
I actually prefer, oh, sorry, Jada, do you want to talk?
I agree. I took FM and P using coaching actuaries, and I feel like that was the best decision for me. And I passed both, so I think it paid off in the end.
I was gonna say, if you're studying for the exams at like a younger age, like freshman year, It could be better if you learn better in a learning environment through an instructor. And UWM also offers an exam P class and an exam FM class if that's how you prefer to study. And that's how I personally prefer to study.
So you prefer to take the exam, the professional exam first, or take it concurrently whilst you're taking the one that we do at school, or do the one at school first and then take the professional exam? Which is the way that you prefer?
I prefer to take the class at UWM first, just because in that teacher and student setting, I find I can figure out how I'd like to learn best at first, because I did try studying by myself at first and I struggled with like organizing it. But now that I'm in the exam FM course, I feel like I know how to study for it now. So I think it was beneficial for me to take the class first before taking FM.
So that's interesting there, because there's not one solution to these things. It all depends on the individual. And we're speaking to Quentin a couple of days ago as well. We're discussing this. I happen to agree with the way that he does it, but it's not a one size hat fits all. It's not. It's like it's up to you as an individual. Different things work for different people. What other questions? What are the other sort of questions that Akan and Kieran that you guys had that you were like, didn't know what to do? I'm completely stuck. What should I do now at UWM? What should I be doing on this program? Other than how early should I take exams, which is pretty much as early as possible. The consensus for most people, you should start with subject FM, but some people start with subject P. You can take the exams, the professional exams, before you take the school exams, or at the same time, or you can take the professional exams after. That's a personal decision. But what other sort of questions did you have? Any other questions on the professional exams, or any other questions? Like, you may want to ask these people that have passed them, how do you study for the exams? Because you're at school. And so how do you actually fit in taking them with the Infinite Actuary or with coaching actuaries, or with, there's several different suppliers of materials. You want to come back on that?
I have never heard about VE credits before joining the Actuarial Science Club. And like, what are those? Like, what is needed for the credits?
Jeanette, do you want to answer that?
Yeah. So a VEE credit is validation by educational experience, and UWM offers 3 of them. And basically the SOA will give you accreditation for 3 VE credits, which UWM offers, which is mathematical statistics, economics, and accounting and finance counts as 1. You just have to take 2 pairing classes. And after you pass 2 exams, you can apply to get the VE credit just by taking the class and passing with a B or higher.
But you have to have passed like P and FM before you can do that?
Yes, I looked it up on the SOA website and it says after you pass 2 exams, then you can get the VE credits.
Okay. So
but you can take those classes before you pass the exam.
Okay. All right. And then you just have to wait until you've got a couple, and then you can apply for the credits. Okay. All right. So that's good information. What other questions, Kieran? I know you had quite a few questions as well, and you had quite a few. And Jeanette, you and all of you guys, in fact, you hear questions coming in through the club. You guys do a fantastic job of running that club, and I don't even have anything to do. You guys do brilliant job. And you're telling me that I'm getting feedback that there's a lot of students asking a lot of questions. What are some of the questions that students are asking you? There's any common themes to questions that are students are asking you?
I guess just how we study personally, like how we go about the studying on the coaching actuaries. Me personally, I like to get through the content as fast as possible from the learn section. And then I try to set aside like a month of practice problems. So I'll take an exam, like 5 exams each week, practice exams, and just try to progressively make them harder and harder and pass them. That's how I personally study for exams? I know that's a big question a lot of people have.
Right.
Yeah,
Got it.
I agree with Quentin as well. That's how I think it's most efficient for me. So I read through the material, but how I learn is by doing practice questions over and over again. And that method is most effective for me.
Right. How about you, Connor?
I typically also get through the learn section as quickly as I can, but I will also kind of intermingle some of the practice problems while I'm doing the learn if I happen to have a section that I didn't particularly get right away. So I'll just do some practice problems, kind of take a break from learn for a second, and then kind of pick up the section that I had trouble with before going back to going through learn and getting through the rest of the subjects for the exam.
Yeah, and I mean, I've got to be perfectly honest with you that it took me a long time to discover that when I was taking the exams. I was kind of getting through the earlier ones without, I wouldn't say without too much effort. There was a lot of effort put in, but it wasn't very focused effort. And then when I hit a brick wall with the exams and I had to change something, what I changed was exactly what you guys just said. Yeah, but I was like a lot older than you when I figured it out, which is blast through the material in around a month. And even if I didn't understand it, I will try and look at some questions. But there's bits I didn't I will still just blast all the way through it. And then I'd spend a lot of time on the questions. But when I was doing the questions, I was making sure that I actually understood why the solutions that they were being provided with us. It was the Institute of Actuaries. The solutions they were providing, why they were the solutions they were providing. It wasn't just reading the question, reading the solution, and then moving on. It was really analyzing why that was the right answer and actually understanding it before I moved on. That's some really good advice. So we've got advice on the VEs. We've got some advice on how to study. Jeanette, there was a bunch of questions that you put forward. Do you have any of those questions as well?
Yes, let me just bring it up real quick.
Yeah, let's just have a look at some of these. Are a lot of common questions that were asked at the club meeting. And so Jeanette sent them to me. And
yes.
maybe she
I had a few questions about how easy is it to double major. I personally am not a double major, but I think someone in here is. Someone in here double major?
Well, I think Jada and Connor are taking, well, Jada for sure, you're taking a minor in economics.
Yes, I am. So
And
that was not hard at all. I just had to take basically one additional class to the ones that are required by the actuarial program. So one additional class, it wasn't a lot. So I just went ahead and did that.
oh, that's a good little tip.
I think a colleague of mine is in the actuarial science major, and he's also an applied mathematics. And he told me you only had to take 3 additional courses to get that double major.
Yes, I think that's the same, actually the same for a double major with actuarial science and mathematical science as well.
Okay, so that's worth looking into. If it's not too many classes and you're going to get a double major or a minor, that may be something worth looking into. So where can students find more information about that? If what the requirements are to double major in or to minor in economics or finance or one of those other subjects, where's the best resource for them to get information on that?
So where I got that information was from the UWM's mathematical science department's website. They have all the information that you need. They tell you how many credits that you need as an actuarial major, how many more would you need for, let's say, a mathematical science degree for a double major. So that's where I went to find out that information.
Okay. All right. What other questions were there on that list of common questions that you guys get asked, Jeanette?
What is the waiving process like? Because some students hear that if they pass an exam, they don't have to take classes anymore. And how does that work?
Okay, so I mean, that is down to their individual instructor. And they normally, if they've already passed the exam, they'll get some sort of credit for it. And so if you guys are in that position, then you just speak to your instructor, and they normally will do something to acknowledge that you've actually passed the professional exam. I don't want to say that the standards are higher from the professional ones and the school ones. I don't believe they're higher, but they're different. So yeah, so that you'll be recognized for passing exams, and that may be why some people opt to take the professional exams first, because they're going to get some recognition for passing the professional one before they take the school one. Any other questions on the list?
I have a quick question while we're still on that topic.
Yeah.
So about the exams and the degrees, I actually I'm still kind of fuzzy on this now, so it would benefit me asking this. So in order to be accepted by other companies for internships and jobs, I'm a little fuzzy on like what exactly you need, because some people are like, oh, I get in with one exam, I get in with 5, and some people are like, oh, I don't have a degree or this, so it's kind of confusing to me. So if someone could explain that, that'd be nice.
It really comes down to the company that you're applying to. Some of them don't require the actuarial science degree. You could just be majoring in math or anything else that's vaguely related to actuarial science. Some of them only require you to be scheduled for an exam. So if you've registered for your first exam and you haven't even taken it, sometimes that's enough of a minimum requirement for these companies. Some of them want 2, some of them want 1. It really comes down to which company you're applying for, and they should have it listed in the requirements for the job application.
Yeah, yeah, I couldn't have put that better myself. And even for internships, that applies for internships, and not just a full-time job after work, but also applies for internships as well. That's very well answered. Yeah, what other questions? When you first came here, I don't want to be picking on people, but individually. So Jada, I'm only kidding. So when you first came here, what were the things, if you could think back to a couple of years ago, what were the things that you were just so confused about? It's like, what am I supposed to be doing? Were there things that are connected to the actuarial program that you were just like completely lost on? But then you found out what the answer was. Obviously, you found out what the answer was, but any of those things that ring a bell?
So I remember when I first started at UWM, one thing I didn't know was that you can actually take the actual exams while you were in college. I thought you had to do that after you graduated. I wouldn't say I was completely unaware of the whole actuarial field, but a lot of the things I know now, I didn't know back then. And what aided me in that, in learning and giving me that push to start taking exams, was actually joining the actuarial club when I was about a sophomore, I believe. My last semester as a sophomore, I joined the actuarial club, and it just from there, I passed my first exam that same year, and then a couple months after that, I passed my second exam. So I tell students to join the actuarial club as soon as possible. A lot of people have information, a lot of things that you don't even think of asking. They know that information. They can help you with everything that you're going through because they've been in that situation before.
Right. Now Quentin deals with the mentorship system, where we're trying to address that not only through the club, but actually having mentors. Do you want to say a little bit about the mentorship system, Quentin?
Yeah, sure. So this is the first year it's up and running, and we got a lot of people who are interested. And we just had the first meeting, I think a week or 2 ago, and it's been really helpful and been very productive. A lot of people are getting advice that they normally wouldn't get from just going to the classes, because the classes don't necessarily teach you about the actual major. They just teach you like the technical skills and whatnot, the applications of the problems you'll be doing. But learning these kind of things from like a mentor is really important, because I know when I first came here too, I'm kind of falling in the same boat as Jada. I had no clue about the exams, and I was planning on just taking them after college because I didn't really know about that you should be taking them during the school year, until a guest speaker came in and told us that we need to be taking these ASAP. So I think it's important to kind of, if you are younger, a freshman, sophomore, to join the mentorship program, because there is a lot of advice that you could gain from having a mentor.
Right. And you guys have done a really good job with the advisory board as well, and getting that up and going. You know, I applaud you for guys doing that. It's a great job. So how about Connor? And did you ever have any, when you first came in, was there anything that you were just like had no clue about, which now you think, oh, that was fairly obvious now, or maybe not so obvious now, but those things that you didn't know about that you wish you'd have known when you first came?
I knew about the exams when I first came in, but I was unaware of just how widely accepted it was that you really needed to use something like coaching actuaries or the infinite actuary to prepare for the exams. I tried to take FM immediately after doing the FM course, and I didn't learn the topics at a deep enough level that the SOA requires. So I failed it very poorly that first time. But then I realized, okay, coaching actuaries is kind of a necessity if I want to pass this with absolute certainty.
Right. So that's good that, you know, sometimes it's good when you have a setback or a failure, because as you learn from your failures. And yeah, that's something I did as well. I was kind of skimming the exams, going through, not getting into too much depth. And it's not till you take one and and perhaps don't pass one, then it starts to you change your approach to the exams. Jeanette, how about you? Was there anything that you had that you didn't know then, but you know now, that you could actually give that information out to other students watching?
I think it's important to have friends who are in actuarial science who understand the difficulty of going through the exam process, because I feel like my freshman year, I didn't really know anyone in the major. So no one really understood about studying for the exams or like how much work it really was. So sophomore year, I did reach out to the actuarial club, met more people in the major, and I thought studying with them and like conversing with them was very beneficial to me, because now I have like motivation to study that I didn't have a year ago.
Right. So yeah, that's good. When you're on your own in a vacuum, sometimes it's difficult to study. It depends on each individual. Some people prefer to study on their own. Some people prefer to have like checks and balances, like having friends that are taking the exams as well. So Kieran, there's any other questions that you have?
I have a question.
Oh, I can go on. Go ahead.
So most of you guys are graduating this year, and like while looking for a work and applying for them, what experiences do you guys recommend us to do? Like such as how many internships or like volunteer work and that kind of stuff?
I would say you definitely want to try and get an internship, but if you're looking to do that, your number one thing should be going to career fairs, because networking is really important. Some of these positions, they don't even post job postings. They just go by people you know. So it's really important to go to career fairs to network a little bit and then try to get an internship from there.
Right. Anyone else want to come in on that? Like how many internships should you aim for while you're an undergraduate student?
I'd advise you to to do an internship the summer before your senior year, as well as the summer following. So with that, you can have one experience in the health side, one PNC. So there are different areas to the actuarial field. You can have a feel for each of them, the different paths based on those internships, and then you could apply for a full-time position based on the one that you prefer.
I'll like chime in on that as well. I'd say that we say that the ideal is 2, and if you've got 1, it's good. But some people find it very difficult. It's very competitive now to get internships, and then students. So basically, the sweet spot is 2. If you can have 2 internships, I agree with what Jade is saying. Sometimes you may work for a company as an intern, and they want to keep you on for the following summer. And you may just stay there, so you can have 1 really long internship. But even those companies, sometimes they move you into different departments, so you actually have more experience. But the other thing that I sometimes get asked from students is that I haven't managed to find an actuarial internship, but I have managed to find one in some data analytics or some other role. Should I take it? It's like, yeah, absolutely, you should definitely take it. Our advisory board president right now, I'm sure he won't mind me saying, when he was a UWM student, his internship was with Harley Davidson. And he said he learned more on that internship than he probably would have learned from an actuarial internship. So having an internship is good, period. It doesn't have to be an actuarial internship. If it's in a related field, who'd think that Harley Davidson would be a related field? But the work that I won't mention his name, but the work that he was doing, you guys all know who he is, but the work that he was doing happened to be with spreadsheets, and it happened to be very useful. And just as a kind of an aside, I remember I was working with a guy many years ago when I was coming through the exams, and he just joined like maybe 3 or 4 years after me, joined the same company, started taking the exams. But his background, he was slightly different. He'd worked in insurance before, but he worked at the front end of insurance, like the selling insurance side of it. And he'd taken all these salesperson's exams and stuff like that. The information that he had, the knowledge that he built up from taking those exams was brilliant, because he knew from the lowest possible level how everything works, from the foundations how everything worked. So he just sailed through the actuarial exams. So getting information from any sort of information, even if it may seem like lower down information, it may seem like a lower down internship, it doesn't matter, because it's going to be useful to you. So that's what I would say. But again, there's no answer that is a perfect answer, and it may be right for one person and not for another. Is there any other questions you've got, Akan? So now you're ready to go. You're going to take your next exam. You're going to pass
The P
it.
exam. Yep.
You take the P exam. Okay. And so when are you going to? You got a date penciled in to take it?
I'm thinking to take it in January.
Okay. So okay, and you can look at the providers. So if you actually approach somebody you're already a member at the club, and I think they're getting to know you now as well. But if you need any information from them or from me, please feel free to actually come to us. Kieran, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I actually have 3. So the first one is about generally like at the career fairs or like associated with UWM, what companies are like accepting the most people with actuaries, and like which ones might be the most prestigious. So I mean, that's the first question, and I'll ask my other 2 after this.
That's interesting. I'll let you guys answer that, but which one hires the most people and which one is the most prestigious, would you say? Well, we don't have to say which one's the most prestigious, just in case we get ourselves into some trouble. But we can answer the first part of that question. Which one tends to offer the most internships? I guess in some years it may be one, and other years it might be another. I know that Northwestern Mutual has done a lot for our for this program. They donated a large amount of money a few years ago. So what other companies are actually coming to our careers fairs? You just had one that was associated with us, which was set up by one of our board members, advisory board members. So do you remember some of the companies that came?
I can go. So I guess I could say my company. So I'm currently interning at National General. And I guess they are acquired by Allstate now, but they were at the career fair. And another big company is Milliman. So they hire a lot of interns over the years.
Do you guys remember who else was at the career fair? I think there was maybe 13 companies there. Do you remember any of the other ones that were there, apart from the ones we've mentioned?
Aon was there, Century.
So they're the kind of the big ones that that were there. So, but there's also careers fairs at other schools. I want you to go to our ones. I want you to go to all the careers fairs you can go to if you've got the time. So I'll be sending you more information on other ones that are coming up. I understand your question from a statistics point of view, in that who hires the most people from our school, but you might find a company that hasn't hired anyone from our school for like 2 years, and they happen to hire you. So always move forward and be confident in what you do. But these are the companies we mentioned, are the ones that have been supporting us for a while. What was your next question, Kieran?
The next one is kind of quick. So it's like, when you're applying for the internships, do you just like, kind of like shotgun your application to as many as possible? And like, if you do get accepted by more than one, you have to like, how's that like declining it, I guess?
I guess I can go because I actually turned down a couple internships. So it was right after I passed FM. I thought it was a bit late for me to not have an internship. So I just started applying to a bunch of different listings, a bunch of different postings. And then I didn't hear anything for about a couple of weeks. I took some interviews, and everyone just kept calling at the same time to schedule interviews. I did those interviews. I got rejected from some. I got accepted to. So my first internship was from a company in Illinois. It was only for the summer. I got another internship, which was year round. So I felt like that was the better decision for me, since it was year round and not just in the summer. So that's how I made my decision as to which one I should have chosen.
So do you guys think that you should take a shotgun approach? Kieran, do you mean just like write one resume and one cover letter and send it out, as opposed to tailoring it for each company? Your resume won't change too much when you're applying for an internship, but your cover letter may. So I would suggest that maybe you want to adjust your cover letter. But yeah, I would. You should write to as many companies as possible, I would say. And I would also say keep a log that who you applied to and when you applied to them and what the response was. You just don't want to be applying to the same company twice, especially when you may be forgetting how many companies. Who did I apply to? These guys, or you're not sure you applied to them again. I think there was a second part to your question, which was if you're gonna turn them down, how do you do it? So if you get an offer, was that if you're gonna get, so Jado, and it may happen to some of the other people here as well. If you get an offer and you're going to turn the company down, how do you do it? Do you write them an email and say thanks but no thanks? Do you want to keep the door open for the future? How do you not respond to them?
So I sent my main point of contact. Sometimes you'll be assigned a recruiter. So you go to them for any questions that you have. So they were my main point of contact. So I just wrote them a letter saying I got another offer, and they tried to work with my availability, but it wasn't going to work out. So I told them that it wasn't going to work out, but I still appreciate them trying to, adjust my schedule and try to still fit me in. But it wasn't going to work out, but I still have their contact information. I am connected with them on LinkedIn, and just keep the contact. They know that you have a lot of offers. I don't think they'd want you to only apply to one company. So they know that other things come up, and just have that relationship with them, keep everything open. Don't leave anything on a bad note, because they might be your future employer.
Right. Or you might meet one of the people that works for that company. They may come and work for the same company you're at, or you might meet your paths may cross again. So it's a small enough market to be able to meet someone again. I pick up on three things you said there. One of the things you mentioned was LinkedIn, which is super important. Many students don't have a LinkedIn account. If you don't, I recommend that you go to it and you keep it active as well. The word resume has been brought up several times. You got to make sure that your resume looks good. All right. So we do have resources on campus, and somebody came in from one of the main recruiters and actually gave us a presentation, and I have the slides if anyone wants to see them, on how to put cover letter together, how to put presentation together. And some students were asking me this week, if they ask me about salary at an interview, what should I say to them? So let me ask you guys that. So if you're asked about salary at an interview, how much do you want? How much are you looking for? What would you guys say to a recruiter? And there's one more point I was going to come back on, Jada.
So
you're at,
yeah, we were talking about this a couple of days ago. So the way I guess I would do it is, you would give them a sticker shock, a really high price, and then you would kind of say that value between this value, and then the lower end of the value is the one that you kind of want. So you kind of shock them first, and then you give them the value that you want.
Right. So you can give them a range.
Yeah, adding to what Quentin said. So what I did, I got asked that question, but before I did my research, so I went on Google, and I think it was Glassdoor, and I just typed in actuarial intern salaries, and I just gave them the average, and then they could make their decision from that.
Right. So so there's different approaches to it. As before, I used to take the approach of saying nothing. Then I moved on to Jada's approach with saying this is the kind of range that people are getting. And then I actually did what Quentin said. That's what I do now, which is like, I want between this and this, and then the high value is the largest value, which it'd be great if they give it to me, but it's way above what I'm actually expecting. And so hopefully they'll come in on the lower value. The last thing I want to mention on something that you said, Jada, that you said you use a recruiter. And so is that what you said? Did I pick up on that correctly?
So when you apply for a job, you have a recruiter, which is your main sort of contact. So they send you all the information that you need, any forms that you need to fill out. So they're basically your first point of contact before you actually meeting people that you'll be working with.
So the recruiters that you're talking about actually work for those companies. They're not like external recruiters. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'd be interested if there was a recruiter that actually finds interns jobs, because there's going to be a lot of demand of students that are trying to find jobs. It'd be great if there was a recruiter that could do that. So
actually, this happened to me once. A recruiter did reach out to me on LinkedIn from my profile. So again, I say join LinkedIn if you haven't, and set up your profile. And companies will sometimes reach out to you. every time I go into LinkedIn, I have jobs that pop up, internships, full-time positions. So it's basically tailored to you and what you're looking for. So as I said, it's a great opportunity. Everyone should have a LinkedIn.
I agree, totally agree with that. Kieran, did you have one more question or was that the last one?
Yeah, the last one is during an internship, how does it affect your academic life, and how much time does it take up? Will you have enough time to handle your other classes, that sort of stuff?
So the majority, it depends on which internship you go for. So the most popular are the summer internships that run from about June to August. So no classes between that time. So your main focus would be on the internship. If you have a year-round internship or a fall or spring internship like I do. So I work with my manager closely and basically tell them, hey, these are the times I have classes. And then we work out a time or set time per week that I have to actually log on and be at work. So I'd say just work closely with your manager or whoever, HR. Also on the applications, most of the time they do ask for your class schedule. So they'll know how much time you'll be available throughout the year.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. We're going to have to wrap it up right now. Let's see if everyone's got any other questions. Thank you very much for attending. We're going to include your details in the description. So if anyone wants to contact you, they can. And this is being your host, Panos Skordi, on the Panos Skordi Encounter. Take care wherever you are.